It's tough to talk about sometimes, gun violence, especially when it comes to like young people. It makes you wonder, are we really doing enough to protect them?
Yeah, it's a question that, I think we all kind of grapple with, especially in light of recent events.
Totally. And, that brings us to the story of Rilo Huncho, this 17-year-old rapper. He was like really building a name for himself. 600 monthly listeners on Spotify already, growing social media presence, like he was doing it.
Yeah, a bright future for sure.
Yeah.
Tragically cut short.
And that's what makes it, I don't know, even more difficult to wrap your head around because it was an accident. He was filming a video for social media, showing off, and he accidentally shot himself.
It's heartbreaking. And unfortunately, Rilo's story isn't unique. The data from the Giffords Law Center shows that 76 teenagers every year in the U.S. die from unintentional gunshot wounds. And almost half of those are self-inflicted, just like Rilo.
76. I mean, that's like almost two teenagers every single week. It's crazy. It really puts a spotlight on like the whole issue of unintentional shootings among young people. But I think before we get too far into that, let's go back to Rilo's story for a sec.
Right, because it's important to remember that these are real people, real families, changed forever by this.
Totally. And the article, I mean, it really talks about like how close Rilo was with his mom. Monica Savage, single parent, only child, they only had each other. And her words when she found out, man, they hit hard. She said, quote, "I didn't know he had a gun. I did not know he had that."
Just wow. That it highlights just how important safe storage practices are and open communication about guns, especially when there are young people in the home.
It's one of those things you don't think about it
Right.
until it's too late. And that's the thing, right? The article says, like in the video, you can see him, he's dancing, he's rapping, just, lost in the moment. It doesn't even seem like he's really thinking about what he's doing.
And that's why we're here, right? To really dig into this, figure out what we can do to stop this from happening again.
Yeah, it's like you get caught up in the moment, especially when you're young. But that's why it's so important to really understand the risks and the responsibility that comes with, having a firearm.
And a big part of that responsibility is safe storage, right? We were talking about that earlier. What does that actually look like?
So the best way to like prevent these accidents, these unintentional shootings, especially with teenagers, is actually pretty simple. Store your firearms, unload it, locked up,
Yeah.
and keep the ammunition separate.
So basically just make it as hard as possible for someone to get to it who shouldn't be able to.
Exactly. And the gold standard for that is a gun safe. Right, makes sense. Out of sight, out of mind, as they say.
Yeah.
And out of reach, definitely. But is there anything else people can do besides a safe to, I don't know, make things even safer?
For sure. Personalized gun locks are a really good idea. They add like another layer of protection. So even if someone does get a hold of the firearm, they can't actually use it without, permission.
Like a PIN code for your gun, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And beyond like the physical stuff, open communication is huge. Parents, teachers, responsible gun owners, we have a responsibility to talk to young people about this stuff,
Yeah.
about how dangerous guns can be.
Have those tough conversations. Make sure they know guns aren't toys. Help them understand instead of just being, curious or scared.
Exactly. It's not just about locking guns up. It's about creating a culture of safety.
It's about knowledge and awareness. And you mentioned earlier how much Rilo's death affected his community. The article talks about this GoFundMe page his cousin set up to help his mom. Did you see that?
Yeah. It's really amazing to see how many people Rilo touched, even though, the GoFundMe isn't active anymore. The amount of support says a lot.
It really shows you how many people these tragedies affect, One life lost touches so many others. And his cousin, Avis Hawkins, what she said on the page, it's heartbreaking. She said, quote, "When I got the news that he had been shot, it was like a total shock to me. And when I heard that he had a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, it's still a hard pill to swallow."
It's a reminder that the pain from this, it doesn't end when the event's over. It stays with families, friends, whole communities.
Yeah, it makes you realize that this is, it's not just a one-time thing. It's a whole like bigger issue we need to deal with. It's like, the whole social media aspect of it too.
Yeah.
You think Rilo, he was, trying to build a career using these platforms to express himself, reach fans, and then it's in that same space while he's making content that this happens. Just, I don't know.
It's a tough thing to process for sure. And it really speaks to the whole, conversation around social media and guns. especially in young people. It's complicated because on the one hand, you see how it can like glorify guns, make them seem cool, but it's also a tool for education, awareness, promoting responsibility.
So it's about like meeting them where they are, using those platforms to, spread a message of safety. Because telling kids to just stay away from guns, it's like that doesn't always work, especially when they're seeing them everywhere online.
Yeah, we got to go beyond that. We need to be having real conversations about the risks and responsibility, what can happen.
And it's bigger than just, each person being careful, right? Like there's a whole other level to this.
Absolutely. Laws, community programs, mental health resources. We need all of that to really address this, the root of the problem.
It's about creating a culture of safety everywhere. At home, in schools, even in our laws.
It's got to be a team effort. We have to work together, educate, and really commit to keeping our young people safe.
Because at the end of the day, one life lost is too many. And Rilo's story it's just a reminder to his family and friends who are thinking of leaving.
Absolutely. We can't bring Rilo back, but what we can do is work to prevent this from happening to someone else.
And to everyone listening, think about that. What can you do